Hello everybody, welcome back to another Mortal Jellyfish video. Today we got the Barbarian kit. Yes, I'm aware this kit isn't new, but I still feel like I should include every kit in the Should You Buy videos, as their purpose is to help save people's bow bucks. And even if the kit's not new, some people are still debating on buying the old kits. On that note, if you like these Should You Buy videos, make sure to like and subscribe, it helps out a ton. With that said, let's hop right into the pros and cons of the Barbarian kit. So as we hop into some Barbarian gameplay here, we're going to start off talking about the pros of this kit, then move into the cons to weigh out the pros, and then we're going to dive into my opinion on whether you should or should not buy this kit, and as always, feel free to disagree with my opinion, as everybody's welcome to their own opinion. That said, let's hop into our first pro. So hopping right into our first pro, and the first pro is going to be you don't have to buy swords, which is super nice. So basically with this kit, when you attack people with your sword, you're going to gain a rage bar. Well, you always have the rage bar, but as you attack people, this rage bar is going to climb. And as you can see on the screen, once that rage bar fills and gets to the other side, your sword will automatically upgrade to said sword. And that's going to lead us into our second pro. Our second pro is can get a sword upgrade mid-fight, making you win. So you could be fighting somebody in leather armor and you both have wood swords. Say you're both leather armor, both wood swords. Mid-fight, your rage procs you over to a stone sword. You start getting that extra damage in and boom, you win the fight hands down because you got an upgrade mid-fight. So that's pretty convenient to have sword upgrades happening just whenever they happen, you know. Well, especially if you watch this and time it right. Say you go into a fight knowing your sword's going to upgrade. You can easily use this to easily get yourself free wins in fights. Just planning it out and knowing you're going to get that sword upgrade. And that takes us into our third pro, and that's all sorts of damage give rage, aka better swords. Now, I say this because it's something that should be noted about Barbarian, because everything gives rage. You could just sit at the base and snipe and build up rage to the better sword. You can snipe people off bridges mid-game and get better swords for it. You can even TNT yourself, although I don't really recommend that one because it's kind of slow and you're better off just probably bow sniping people. But I guess if you're really bad with bows and you're really bad at sword fights, you can try and cheek your way to a rage blade or so with TNT. And that's going to lead us right into our fourth pro, and it has the strongest sword in the game. You may have heard me say Rage Blade, and if you aren't familiar with this, Rage Blade is a sword that is actually better than the Emerald Sword in the game. It does, I believe, 65 damage per hit. Of course, you know, armor and other things are going to change those numbers, and then Emerald does 55, so it's got 10 damage higher than an Emerald Sword, and you can obtain this sword for free. No 20 emeralds to buy this thing, you just gotta farm the rage for it. Now, it does take a decent bit of rage, but it is most certainly worth it. It is the strongest sword in the game, hands down. Now, that said, that's going to be the end of our pros, our 4 pros there, and now we're going to move into 4 cons to balance those pros out. So, moving into our first con is you can't buy swords. Now, just like our pro, you don't have to buy swords. This is also a con. So when you say you're stuck on a wood sword and somebody else has got the same armor than you and they buy a better sword, you're kind of stuck in this predicament where you can't get a better sword right away because you can't just go back to the shop and buy one. You have to earn the rage to get that next sword. And that's going to move us into our second con, and that second con is going to be deaths will weaken what sword you have. So every time you die, your rage blade is going to your rage bar, not rage blade, your rage bar is going to go down. Sometimes this will degrade your sword. So say you're at a stone sword just barely and you die with that stone sword, you're probably going to be back in as a wood sword somewhere with the rage bar in the middle between wood and stone. So yes, deaths are going to take away your swords, which can lead to really rough gameplay if you don't play it strategically and safe most of the time on a Barbarian. Which is where bow spamming kind of is decent for a Barbarian. You don't have to worry about dying when you're just sniping people off bridges and claiming that free rage. Also, I highly recommend balloons. Balloons will save you so many times. You get low in a fight, jump off balloon, get out of there. You know, so balloons are really going to save your rage on this kit. So that's something to note if you do decide to get this kit. And that's going to take us into our third con, and that's possible to be stuck with a wood sword all game. Now maybe this ties into our second con really closely, but it's something I feel like that's its own separate con, and that's because getting stuck with a wood sword, you could be wearing diamond armor or even emerald armor, but if you've been dying through the entire game or just haven't been able to get in much fights or haven't been able to snipe people, your only option to get off that wood sword is to TNT, which like I said is relatively slow. And so some games you actually kind of get stuck with a wood sword for a very long time. Typically, if you're smart about it, you shouldn't be stuck with it all game. You could TNT or something to get off that wood sword. But sometimes it happens. Sometimes you get stuck on wood sword almost the entire game. So make sure you don't die a lot, because being stuck on a wood sword is not good when people start to get iron armor and above. It feels really weak and it's not very strong. Good way to get out of this too as well is diamond upgrades. Make sure you get sword upgrades and stuff. That's going to help out a lot, as the rage bar typically goes up faster with the more damage you're dealing. And that's going to lead us into our fourth con here, which requires you to win a majority of your fights you take. So one of the hardest things about Barbarian is being very strategic and smart with the fights you pick. If some guy's wearing iron armor and he's got an iron sword and you're wearing leather and you got a stone sword or something, it's probably not best as a Barbarian to go pick a fight with him unless you're really confident in getting a knockoff on him. Because straight up in a sword fight, you're probably not going to win. And so with that, you don't want to take silly fights like that. So it's best to avoid those and make sure you're focusing on fights you'll win. So like get leather armor and then you see a guy without leather armor and you both got wood swords. That should be an easy win because he's going to hit you for 14 damages and you're going to hit him for 20s, making you be able to take like an extra hit or two, and he will only be able to take 5. So that'll be a fight worth taking. So yeah, that's just one of the things you got to pay attention to as Barbarian. That's going to be a con. You cannot afford to take dumb fights that you cannot win. Now, this said, not all fights you can win. So some fights you got to try and get out of. If somebody comes at you and they're going to kill you, you should probably try and bail out of that fight. Now, bailing out of that fight can be hard, but there's ways out, like jumping off the map and ballooning away if you have the balloons to spare. Make sure you have more than 3, though. I've seen a lot of people jump off with 3 balloons and then just 1 balloon gets sniped and they fall to their death. I'd always recommend 2 sets of balloons, 6 if you can. That way, if you have a extra set of balloons to get up in case you get sniped once while you're running away. The other one is maybe try and cut tighter corners around builds so that way you can get away, or perhaps jump over a void area onto a bridge so you cut some space blocks there and they maybe run all the way around. And the other way is going to be try to build up. Now, building up is hard sometimes because the game's ping difference between players can be wonky, so sometimes you'll be like 6 blocks up and still get hit off. So I'd watch for that. But on that note, I think that's all the cons, so we're going to move into the end portion of this video where I give you guys my full opinion on whether this kit's worth buying or not. So yeah, I'll see you guys there. Alright, you made it to the end of the video. Much appreciated. Not everybody makes it here, but I do appreciate the people who do. And yeah, this is the opinionated part of the video, which you clearly don't have to agree with. Make sure to let me know your opinion down below. It's always fun to kind of go back and forth with people as long as people don't get aggravated about it. It's always fun to have a nice civil debate about what's good and what's not. That said, the ultimate question here is, should you or should you not buy Barbarian kit? Now, this kit is a pretty simple kit. I don't think it's very hard to decide whether it's for you or not for you. First off, are you good at PvP? If you say yes, then this kit might be something you're interested in. If you're bad at PvP, I would instantly just be like, nope, out of this kit. There's other kits for you. If you're bad at PvP, just be honest with yourself. This is probably not the kit for you. And then the next question to ask is, do you like constantly having to fight? Are you okay with not having a sword purchasable just by sitting in a generator? Are you okay with constantly having to fight to get a better sword? If no, then I would probably avoid this kit as well. If you're okay with that, then I would say go for it. With that said, at the end of the day, I think this is a very PvP based kit, and I mean, it really is. I mean, sure, you can cheek your way up with a Rage Blade, but if you're already not able to snipe up to Rage Blade or sword fight up to Rage Blade, then honestly, I would almost say not to buy this kit, because you're relying on something that's a third outside method to get the Rage Blade because you're not good at PvP, which means when you do go in with the Rage Blade, there's still chances you still lose the fight just because you're not that skilled at PvP, and that's going to be bad. You don't want to go in there and then die and then lose all that work you worked on for, because you can lose Rage Blade. If you die with Rage Blade and you don't have high enough rage above that Rage Blade cap, then yeah, you're going to lose your Rage Blade upon death, and then you're going to be back to TNTing yourself. So I would say if you're a big-time PvPer, this kit is pretty good. It's up there. It's one of those kits I'd play like Reaper, Although Reaper has better sustainability than Barbarian, at some point Barbarian has to run out of fights because he gets low health. That said, he does way more damage with Rage Blade than you can possibly do with Reaper. But yeah, he's one of those PvP kits. If you want a PvP kit with the strongest sword in the game and a risky play style where you have to be really strategic and not die to get your best sword, yeah, it's for you. I think it's a high risk, high reward PvP kit, and it's pretty fun. I enjoy it a lot. Sometimes I hate when I'm stuck with a wood sword all game, and yes, that happens to me too. Like, some games are just so bad that I get stuck with a wood sword, and then other games, I have Rage Blades, and I like to think I'm pretty decent at PvP. Yeah, so this is the end of the video, but we're doing something different. I changed my member perks a few days back, and they got approved and whatnot. So yeah, now I'm gonna be. I said hippity hoppity, John Roblox, I'm stealing your property, and because I like the idea of shouting out members at the end of the video. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do here. Thanks Mama Peas for being a member. It's the only current one we have. But if we get more, I'll add them to the end of the videos. On that note though, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.